Hello, and welcome to Change the Face of Yoga, teaching toddlers through golden oldies. I'm very excited to be talking to lots of yoga teachers who will explain their passion for teaching yoga to students with different ages, physical fitness levels, wellness levels, and different goals. They will explain the benefits of yoga for these students and will be including teacher tips and pose modifications. I am Stephanie Cunningham of Yoga Lightness, and I've been teaching over 50s for 10 years. So this area is my passion and the passion of many other yoga teachers that you will be listening to in this series. Thank you so much for listening, and let's get started. This is episode 122 of Changing the Face of Yoga. And today we're just going to do a very short, fun podcast. When I produce my podcast for release, one of the first things I do is a transcript, and it is usually quite good. But I've had several guests this year that have been talking about some of the more subtle aspects of yoga. And so it doesn't quite know how to translate Sanskrit. And some of the things it comes up with are really, really quite funny. I'm going to give you just a short look at this. If you are interested in looking at some more, just go to the show notes of this particular podcast and I'll add some more in. But just to give you a taste of how very, very confused an artificial intelligence transcription service gets by Sanskrit, let's start at the very basic, which is, what does it think Sanskrit is? Well, it came up with sunscreen, which I rather liked. Hatha is hot tea, and yoga is yells. I don't know where that came from, but anyway. Asanas are assets, which I think we'd all agree with, don't you? Ujjayi breath is with GI breath. And one of my favorites was when we were talking about chanting, and my guest said that her students would come up to her and say, I really like that happy, puffy breath. And this is in pure English, so I don't know. It's just why it happened this way. But then it came back with happy, puffy breast, which, I don't know, kind of reminded me of a self-inflating breast implant. I don't know. But I thought it was kind of cute. I really like that. When we get into some of the terms of yoga in the yoga philosophy, it really did confuse it greatly. Vritti. Apparently, it thinks of people when you say Vritti. So we have Kristine, Ruthie, I don't know where that came from, and for Richie. So it took me quite a while to figure out what we were talking about when I was editing the transcript. Namaste is numbers stay. And Upanishads, which I really do love, is called funny shots. Don't ask me. I don't know. Shakti is champion, which actually isn't far off. Shiva is Shavon. And Jalandhara is jolly turban. I think I might always remember it as jolly turban from now on. Moolahdhara is Moodles. Moodles sounds nice, doesn't it? Kind of, I don't know, something to do with poodles. I had several guests this year about, like I said, the subtle aspects of yoga. And so we talked about chakras, and we talked about mudras, and we talked about yoga ninja. Sorry, now it's got me saying it. And we talked about yoga nidra. And it came up with some really, really funny kinds of translations. As you might have guessed, yoga nidra is often written in the transcription as yoga ninja. Chakras are several things. And it was interesting because Kristine Kaoverii Weber taught me how to say chakras, and it is that hard cha instead of sha. And so if I was saying it correctly, and she, of course, was always saying it correctly, was chockers or chuckers or choppers or chocolate. And if I wasn't saying it correctly, it was called shockers. So chakras, there we go, are definitely confusing to transcriptionists. Mudras are the same. I have quite a few on mudras. I'll just give you a few. A mood rose. That's kind of a lovely thought, isn't it? Metrology. I'm not sure where that came from. Motors. And my favorite, Madeira. Tantric was contract. And I think my absolute favorite is Gomagasana. And it came out as camo cousin. It's always good just to laugh. There's also laughter yoga. I haven't ever taken that, but I'm sure it was a really good experience. And so this is all this is. It's just a little bit of laughter to have us remember that laughing is also important in life. This is just a little bit of self-care, just to get you laughing and thinking about some of the ridiculous things that this transcription service came up with. So thank you so much. Like I said, very short, very sweet, and to the point. So here, I hope you enjoyed these bloopers. It was fun for me to gather them together and get some lists going and just actually be kind of in awe of the creativity of the transcription service, of all the different things they came up with for words that were obviously very normal to us and not at all familiar to it. Thank you so much for listening. And this is Stephanie Cunningham. Thank you for that wonderful interview. If you would like to be a guest on Changing the Face of Yoga, please go to my website, www.yogalightness.com.au, and under the Changing the Face of Yoga tab, you can complete Be Our Guest form. After reviewing the form and finding it applicable to this podcast, we will send you a link to schedule an interview. Please download, review, and tell your friends of any podcasts that are of interest to you and to them. If you would like to contact me, send an email to info@yogalightness.com.au. And thank you for listening to Changing the Face of Yoga.